As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Welcome, everyone, to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined, as always, on Fridays, our wonderful co-hosts, Sean Phelan, the Agent of Chaos.
Oh, yeah.
How are you, Sean?
How you doing?
Doing good, man. Happy Independence Day weekend. It's
yeah,
here.
same to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this heat's tearing me up, man. I was up half the night.
Yeah, I mean, it's July, man. Know what you expect. It's the time of year.
80s, not 90s.
Oh, come on. No, it's time of year. Sun's shining. I know you got to find a way. I don't have AC in my house either. So, like, guys, just to let you know, when I do my show, which I'm doing from an upstairs office, there's no AC. I cannot have the fans on because, you'll pick it up on the mic, and that doesn't make for good radio. So I am just sweating profusely up here. I sweat through my first shirt. I changed this for the show, so I looked less disgusting. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I had to do the
For
same
those of you
thing.
who are watching me on camera, which I know some of you are on radio, but, I want to be comfortable, too.
Oh, yeah. I had to go out and buy a new AC. I was like, nah, I can't do this. There's too many 90s already. It's just the transition from 70s to 90s was just too quick. And, like, the next 8 days or something, or out of 10 are supposed to be 90s. No.
Too much. I know. So I looked at the forecast. You're right. I looked at the forecast for the next 10 days. I'm like, man, should have cheaped out on getting that central air. I had an opportunity when I replaced my furnace. Could have done it. Could have had central AC. Nope.
Well, I went over
Didn't do
to was
got
at
a
Home
window unit
Depot and grabbed myself an AC unit there, and yeah, they do 10% off for military, so veterans,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, good for them.
So I grabbed
Well,
that.
good for you. But yeah, no, that's all I got to is I got a window unit in my bedroom for when I go to sleep. Which I feel like most of the year I don't need it. I run it like 5 nights a year, but I feel like it's
Oh, you
gonna
shouldn't
get
run
a
it at
lot
night.
of use.
Shouldn't
No,
run it
why
at
not?
night. No, when I lived in Thailand, it's just totally hot, humid, but you got to run the fan on your body, not your face, at night. Run a fan on it. Do not sleep in the AC. You will get sick.
Why?
There's just something about it.
I don't know, man. It's very comfortable to me. I'm like, oh, I want to sleep in the nice, cool air.
But you're
Wanna
not
be, like,
acclimating
all
yourself.
Sweaty.
You're not acclimating yourself. So, like, in the morning, you open up that bedroom door, and you're like, oh, it's one of the levels of hell.
Yeah. Oh no, that's how it goes. But
Well, you're setting yourself up for it.
yeah, but I can sleep comfortably. That's the whole point, right? Like that's why I want some AC running in my room.
Well, if you put the fan on your body, it'll do the same thing.
Wind's blowing 90-degree air on me.
Well, you
I know
gotta get creative.
Yeah. And my wife doesn't like the fan blowing directly on her. I do. I would put one of those fans like underneath the sheets if I could. That just like puff it up. You ever seen one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that if I could. Wife
Oh, I'd
doesn't
love
like
to
that,
have one of
though,
those.
So I do that. I like to find nice ways to keep cool because again, I cheaped out on that. But I've been spending most of my time outside. I got a cheap pergola from Aldi. They had them for like $100, and so I got a pergola set up in my backyard.
I have no idea what that is.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like a what do you call it? Like it's not like a tent, but it's like a structure, and it's got kind of like open parts, and then there's I'm doing real bad describing this for you guys listening on the radio, and I'm just gesticulating wildly for those of you watching me on video. But yeah, it's got like a cover over it too, and I got some grapevines going over that stuff, so it's a nice thing. But all right, Sean, did I lose you? I feel like you guys got quiet. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
no,
You muted yourself.
I had to
That's
mute
fine.
myself for a moment.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, so yeah. Anyway, it's Independence Day weekend. It's the reason for the season. Well, treason's the reason for the season, but it made
Yeah,
America.
right.
So that's what it is. Happy Treason Day weekend, guys. But it's a good time to celebrate. It's a good time to reflect. And in the rest of the show, we're going to talk about a little bit of history, and then we got some fake news to wrap up the end of the show, of course. But,
Oh, yeah.
Sean, what are your any plans for the weekend? I know it's hard because we're not supposed to go out and be in big groups for barbecues, and we're not supposed to be gathering. Not supposed to be. I imagine it's not going to stop a lot of folks.
Yeah, see, this is like the kind of weekends where under normal circumstances, like I usually just stay in because there's crazy people out there. Everyone's doing the crazy weekend travel, the traffic, the barbecues, the alcohol drinking. It just becomes a big mess. So I kind of just stay inside. But now, I don't know. I might be tempted to actually venture out.
Now, because the government tells you can't do it, you're like, oh, I got to go out and interact with people now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man.
God.
Haven't you figured that out about me?
Such
Tell
a
me don't touch
contrarian,
that
man.
stove, man. I'm touching it.
Don't touch that stove. You know what? You can't tell me what to do.
Oh, there it is. I'm touching it.
Yeah. Don't lick that doorknob.
Yummy.
Oh, my God. This is why libertarians are the worst. Just, but
Oppositional defiant.
yeah, right. But no, I mean I'm gonna be going out. Like I'm not gonna go out to bars. I don't normally go out to bars anyway, especially not 4th of July weekend. It's not really my thing. It wouldn't be my
you're
thing
married.
anyway. Yeah. Well, I mean, we go out to places, but I'm boring. Like I want to sit in like a pub and like talk politics with people, like the founding fathers intended. And I can't do that if they're playing music in the background, and I'm just gonna be a grumpy old man. Like, why is it so noisy in here? I can't talk to my friends.
This week I actually went to a place called the Linwood Pub. And yeah, I started talking politics. And the bartender was a cognitive dissonant Trump supporter.
Oh,
Anything I
Easy.
said to her that was contradictory to Trump's word was like an explosion of emotion. And she would lose her mind and start yelling at me. She even cursed me out at one point. I mean, she's the bartender. She's working.
Now, Sean, I can't imagine you would say anything to agitate people or to get a rise out of someone that might possibly lead to that type of reaction. So it must be all on this bartender, not at all you, Mr. Agent of Chaos.
I honestly, I gotta say, I think it was her this time because I just kept saying to her, like, you got to keep asking the question why. Whenever your government does something, you have to ask why. What is their motivation for doing it? Why are they doing it? And she just didn't like the answers that she was coming up with, and she couldn't handle the truth of the matter.
Well, of course, here on Radio Free New York, we are always questioning, why is the government doing this? Does it make sense? Is it good for us, the American people? And if we can't, goodness, we need to change the government, and we have a system that allows for some of that, allows for protest. And part of the reason we have that, of course, is because of the rebellion back starting in 1775 up through the founding of our country just a few short years later. And that's what we're celebrating this weekend. Happy Treason Day.
Yeah, with hot dogs and fireworks.
Heck yeah.
Beer.
Well, of course, everyone's just going to stick to the nice, legal, quiet New York State approved fireworks, of course, right? That's what we're all.
Oh yeah,
sticking
sure. I just wish people would stop lighting them off at 1 and 2 in the morning.
That's fair. I don't like that. Like I said, I've said on a previous show, I live next to a park. When I hear a commercial grade firework go off next to my house at 2 a.m., even I'm a little bit grumpy about that. And I'm like, man, I love America just like you guys do, but like, shut up right now.
Yeah, it's like
is
a little
obnoxious.
decorum, people. I mean,
I did buy a couple fireworks today, though. I had to go pick something up in a Walmart parking lot. We bought something off of Craigslist, and they had the tent there, and I was like, I gotta see what they got. So I got some of the jumping jacks. So I'll light. I mean, nothing that exciting. Jump jacks. They're the ones you light up, and they just kind of like.
Yep.
Spin up. Yeah, all right. And they're like usually blue and red and white, and so they spin and jump around. And I bought some snakes because I needed to make change for a 20. So nothing that exciting, but it'll be fun. I had to do something. All right, so when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Declaration of Independence here on this Independence Day weekend. Thank you for joining us here on Radio Free New York. We'll be back in a few.
your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. We are the biggest towing company in New York State, but we do a lot more than just towing. We will tow just about anything, but we will also repair just about anything as well. We offer a courtesy shuttle and pickup. We offer a drop box service. We have all these amenities that we put in place to make sure that every one of our customers can receive the best service possible. Please give us an opportunity when your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. Got some Stars and Stripes Forever going there in the background. Thanks again for joining us today here on Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Sean Phelan.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just
like
enjoying
the music.
the
I'm all mellowed out by the music right now.
All right, I was waiting for the next part. I played this in high school band. I was trumpet, so of course I was nice and obnoxious during that part, because there's the next part goes. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna perform that over the radio. No one wants to hear that. But anyway, so what we're talking about is it's Independence Day tomorrow. Although I think some of the stuff happened on July 3rd, and I found out that most of the signatures for the Declaration of Independence actually happened on August 2nd. So just the first ones happened on July 4th, but that's fine. That's what we designate it as.
Yeah, a lot of guys weren't in town when it first was signed.
Yeah, but it's an extra excuse. August 2nd is my birthday, so I celebrate my birth and also a second Independence Day, and I think it's totally justified. I am justified by historical circumstances to extra celebrate on my birthday.
Nice.
Yeah, but so I did want to take an opportunity. There's a few things I like to read on Independence Day weekend, just to remind me of the political circumstance of what's going on. And, I'll read one of them now. The other one I'll just mention, and maybe I'll post a link to it in the next segment. But we're not going to read that one on air, even though it's very good.
What do you got, your pocket declaration there?
I got a pocket Declaration of Independence and Constitution of the United States. So I got one.
I got my Constitution.
You got yours too. It doesn't pop up on the video, Sean. It's very. Oh, there it is. Now it's recognized. So funny. Is it? For those of you who are listening on the radio and you can't see what the video is happening right now, it tries to blur out. It tries to just cut out Sean, and then there's a background, and it's just. It's imperfect, but. All right. So I'm gonna read this off. Because at least the first couple paragraphs. I'm not gonna read off all the grievances, although we can talk about those. Let's start. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for the people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. And then they list off the grievances. So they're establishing their cause. They're saying, hey, we shouldn't just throw off a government for no reason. Not something to take lightly. But if a government abuses you repeatedly and establishes a tyranny, then you have a moral justification for throwing off that government. But if you have a route to fix that, you should do that. This isn't something to take lightly. And by signing this document, of course, the Founding Fathers, who up until that point in time considered themselves proud subjects of Britain, they committed treason. They committed that if they lost this, they would die. They would be hanged for defying their government. So, yeah, so it was an extraordinary thing for people to be able to, commit to putting their names on this document back in 1776. And again, in 1775, they were just saying, hey, the colonies deserve more of a say in the tax policies that are being imposed upon us. That they had some level of self-governance and independence just by virtue of being across the ocean from their government over in England. But they were having taxes imposed on them. And the historical circumstances is interesting because they had taxes imposed on them in part because of expenses thanks to the French and Indian War. But they had no say in that process and were growing increasingly frustrated with a number of abuses that were being imposed on them by the King of England, King George. Sean, I'm sure you're well aware of this history.
Oh, I'm well aware of it. I was just wondering, have you ever watched the HBO special, John Adams?
You know, I haven't. I heard it's pretty good.
It's really good. Really, really good. I like the way it was portrayed. Nothing was glamorized. It was, I guess you could say, as realistic as it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was messy. It's not neat. It's not, it's not always as clean and shiny and clear cut as it was. Only a small percentage of people actually participated in the revolution, and it took a while to get there. Because
I heard it was only like 10%.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, and a lot of people were loyal to the British government. You had a number of loyalists, and it was complicated because a lot of people, again, they're like, well, hey, we need to correct some of these things. We don't want standing armies here. We want to bring in more migrants to be able to grow our colonies. We want some representation in Parliament to be able to have a say in what levels of taxation we have. We can fix all those things. We just need to push harder. And then a handful of radicals said, no, we can't do that. We're way past this point.
So subliminally here, are you just trying to say that we just need to reach that 10% mark as libertarians?
I think that we need to build, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, revolutions are not a good way to go. That they all recognize it. That's not the way you
No, I think revolutions are the way to go. But let's do the revolution through the ballot box first and give that one a try.
That's right. So we need to build popular support and change policies. That's what it is. And, they were in a situation where they weren't able to easily do that. They were governed by a remote state. They were governed by a king. And they had no say in the process, in policies and taxes that govern their society. And again, people get really upset when a far off, city and government dictates parts of their lives and institutes standing armies in their midst, and again, no longer represents them in good faith.
Would that city be Albany and the king be Cuomo? Maybe?
Well, King Andrew is generous and has allowed us this weekend to go into pools again, even though I think everyone has already done that. But thank you, generous King Andrew, for your benevolence. And I can't keep a straight face when I'm talking about him. No, but
So we have permission from the Crown to go swimming?
we sure do.
Wow.
Again, very, very nice of our governor to allow us to do that again. But yeah, the Revolutionary War is a fascinating time for a lot of those reasons, though, that we had mentioned, because again, it wasn't a clear-cut thing. A lot of people weren't sure. They thought that the rights as British citizens were pretty good, and at the time, legitimately it was. But the American Revolution pushed those rights even further, towards recognizing the equality of man before law. Now, of course, that wasn't complete, and I know I can hear my progressive friends saying like, oh, they didn't complete that, but okay, all right, let's look at things. Let's look at like where they were, where it was. This was radical stuff that they were advocating for at the time, a radical sense of freedom that didn't exist in the world at this time. And they fought for it, and they won, and it took them a very long time. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to be back in just a few minutes, talking a little bit more about American independence. Talk to you soon.
Twice the power. More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. We're looking at partly sunny skies today, then a slight chance of showers later on in the afternoon. These showers will be far and few between, but we do have that chance. 85 degrees for the high. Partly cloudy skies tonight, then temperatures dipping into the upper 60s for tomorrow morning. 4th of July, 87 degrees, sunny and staying dry throughout the day. Another hot one on Sunday, 90 degrees. Thankfully, it won't be humid, but it will be hot. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
If you have a job, your job is essential. If you're in business producing a useful product or service, your business is essential. Essential jobs and businesses, they're all that way. Let that sink in.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management. This whole COVID-19 situation can really kick us hard when we're already down. I've been a financial advisor for nearly a quarter century, and I have to say this is the most difficult economic crisis I've ever seen. But how do you think Americans felt during the Depression, during the two world wars, when the financial markets collapsed in 2008? I can tell you how they felt. They were devastated and felt hopeless, just how we feel now. But you know what? Each time when the future looked so bleak, America recovered, the world recovered, and I have to add, the markets recovered. I believe with all my being that America will come back from this too. Don't let the spreaders of fear and hopelessness turn us against each other. Help any business you can in the local community. They've been there for us for a long time. We want them back when this is over. Let's look out for each other. That's not the government's job, and they would most certainly screw it up if it was. It's up to me, to you, to all of us, to help each other through this. Get back to work when you can, and let's beat this thing.
On July 1st, 1970, New York legalized abortion on demand, becoming one of the first states in the U.S. to do so. This occurred 2.5 years before the Supreme Court's 1973 abortion ruling Roe v. Wade. The intervening 2 years saw New York devolve into an abortion tourism destination. Women came from all over the nation to get their abortions. According to the vital statistics of New York State, by 1972, 281,000 abortions were performed, and 171,000 of the women were from out of state. The most recent vital statistics from 2017 show the total number of abortions at New York at just under 78,000. If the Supreme Court overturns the 1973 abortion decision, abortion will not end. It will mean a return to abortion tourism in New York. For a full transcript, go to realabortionnews.com. This Real Abortion News Update is sponsored by Compass Care.
Genesee Country Village Museum is opening just in time to celebrate America's independence on Saturday, July 4th. Outdoor games, a black powder shoot, music, food, and a reading of the Declaration of Independence. Plus, join us for a visit by abolitionist and scholar Frederick Douglass. New safety measures in place. Visit gcv.org.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. See, there's the other part of the song. Yeah. All right, love it. Thank you to our producer for putting that on. We were talking about that during the break. Welcome back to Radio Free New York, and thank you everyone for listening today. Again, we're live on WYSL noon to 1. If you want to call in, give us a call, 585-346-3000. Or if you're listening to us on our YouTube page or Facebook page, any of those, make sure you comment and let us know what's on your mind. We're
How about them stations in the Southern Tier?
Yeah. No, I was getting to it. I always get to it, Sean. You know I'm going to get to it because we love you guys over at WACK out in Newark and WENY, the Patriot, down in the Southern Tier. And we had a candidate on that. I think his district is in the listening area of WENY, too, yesterday, Thomas Queter. So if you guys haven't heard that, he brought a really interesting perspective on kind of navigating the disability system in New York State. So definitely listen to that if you get a chance, because, of course, we have podcasts as well. So thank you, everyone, for listening. That was my point. I know people tease me for thanking everyone too much, but I can never thank you enough. We love you guys. All right. Let's talk about, so Sean, you wanted to talk about some of the specific grievances.
Let's address our grievances.
Let's talk about this. So I'm gonna paraphrase a few of them, but the first handful can kind of be summed up this way: is that they were upset that the colonies weren't able to self-govern. They weren't able to pass laws. They weren't able to do things. They were kind of under the hand of the king. Their houses would be dissolved. They wouldn't be able to easily meet as a legislature. There's a bunch of barriers to them to being able to govern themselves. That's a big thing. So they wanted to be able to make laws specific to the colonies and other governmental bodies that would apply to them, and they weren't able to do that. Can't imagine that applies today. But John, did you freeze on me?
Yeah, no, you kind of cut out on me there.
Zoning out. Oh, okay. Weird. But anyway, that's kind of the main thing is they're unable to exercise their rights as either individuals or as local governments because of the mandates of the king, and that's
starting to head down the road where Trump's getting with the protesters, saying that he doesn't want people protesting and stuff, and it's he's trying to lump them in with the rioters, and it's not the case.
I wouldn't say it's that direction. Like if we're gonna draw parallels to today, I would say it's more along the lines of in New York State, Larry Sharp always says, "Let counties be counties," right? So our friend Larry, who ran for governor a couple of years ago, of course with Andrew, the host of Radio Free New York, they said, "Let counties be counties." And right now, a lot of times, what New York State does is they say, "Hey, counties, you have to do this stuff." They do things like unfunded mandates, and they say, "You got to do this, or else, or else you're not able to exist as a body anymore." So we've lost in New York State, in some ways, the concept of local self-governance, and I agree that's a problem. So that's one of the things that libertarians and conservatives are fighting for and thinking about all the time is how do we make sure that governance is local, it makes sense, and that we protect individual rights as much as possible, that you're able to exercise your freedom and live your life and pursue happiness in a way that you choose, as long as you're not hurting people or taking their stuff. Now,
yeah, but Cuomo's good about taking our stuff.
Oh, he sure is.
I mean, the man would tax the air if he could.
Shh, don't give me ideas.
I know, right?
I mean, it probably is. It's probably already a thing. I don't even know anymore.
I bet you somebody's calculated what the average air volume consumption of a human in New York State is, and try to calculate 1 penny tax per cubic foot volume, and it's like, please, dude, no.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be taxed on CO2. So that's how,
people who exercise have to pay more.
Well, you're safe, Sean.
Hey, no.
We're both safe. Oh, you're extra. Well, yeah, you used to be like a lacrosse player, and you're.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're out doing stuff.
Yeah, I used to. When the gyms were open, I was working out.
You got to make your own gyms now. This is the new normal, Sean.
Yeah.
Anywho, so one of the other complaints was the colonies weren't able to make laws that would allow for the naturalization of foreigners. They wanted to bring more people in because there just weren't a lot of people in the colonies, and that it was difficult to do so. So it's interesting that they wanted more migration into the colonies, and also complaining about the appropriation of lands. But that's a whole other deal, because there's people living on some of those lands that they wanted.
I wonder what people that was.
Yeah. So listen, it's not perfect. I don't like putting people, even the founding fathers, up on pedestals. Like they were imperfect men, mostly men and women, sometimes too, but definitely imperfect, living out the values of their time. But I don't want to move away from the fact that, again, this is a radical document for the time it is, a radical statement of equality that was wildly incomplete at the time, and arguably is still incomplete. And in fact, the other thing that I always like to read is, another point in history, nearly 100 years later, is Frederick Douglass's "What to a Slave is 4th of July." And for those of you listening online, I'll post that link in the comment, which is definitely worth reading. It's one of Frederick Douglass's probably most well-known speeches, and worth checking out. And of course, a local hero as well, Frederick Douglass.
Speaking of radical documents, it sounds like the libertarian platform.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's a lot of complaints here. So there's one of them that may sound familiar. He, of course referring to the king, has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat their substance.
Eat their substance?
I think they mean like take their stuff.
Ah.
Like tax them or sometimes literally take their stuff. Taxation used to not be like, oh, something comes out of your paycheck. It used to literally be like, you need to give us like 10% of that corn, or something like that. So that's how it would sometimes look in some situations. So literally, like they swarm a multitude of offices in swarms of officers, which is how I'm gonna refer to the IRS from now on.
The internal swarm of officers.
Yes. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. So it sounds like they weren't mad about the standing armies. They're mad that they didn't give them permission to do that. They're like, hey, you never asked.
Yeah.
He has affected to render the military independent and superior to the civil power. Hugely important, that's why, like, the commander-in-chief of the United States, the president, they are the civilian head of the military, that we elect a president to oversee the military, and that can be overturned in an election. It's really important. He has combined with others to subject us to jurisdictions foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving the assent to the acts pretended legislature, for quartering bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they shall commit on the inhabitants of these states. So actually, what they're saying there, and I'm thinking of incidents like the Boston Massacre, things like that, where the English troops were quartering among the people, that they had abused those people, and then they were looking to the justice system at the time for redress to those abuses, and they were not getting them. That's what their complaint is. So that's interesting, given some of the recent discussions that we're having, that they said that they're protecting them by mock trial, that they weren't really being tried for those crimes. They also said, for cutting off trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent. Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. And for depriving us, in many cases, of the benefits of trial by jury. And they said, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. Basically, they said, all right, we're going to just wipe out this government and wipe out the system of English rights that they all thought that they had. And that's why, we talked about in the last segment, this is a complicated revolution. It was a lot of people were like, no, we have all these rights. We've established this. And the founding fathers are like, no, look at all these ways that they could just take those away at any moment. We need to fight for this. And this document was saying, we are beyond asking for redress. We need to just declare ourselves independent.
I think this was the point. I think this is the point where they kicked out the royalty class, but they neglected to kick out the nobility class.
Yeah, I mean, there was still a lot of problems in that era. Slavery still existed. How can you talk about equality among men while slavery still existed? There was a nobility class. There was a lot of power and control exercised by, some of the long-established landowners at the time. the Democratic project, the Republican, and I mean that in a small r sense, was incomplete. Again, and that's something that we continue to strive for. We continue to strive for the ideals outlined in the Declaration of Independence, but not yet fulfilled. And so that's what we have to keep doing. That's what, we talk about on this show and we fight for, is these are grievances, some of which are still with us today. That didn't go away. It's new government, so we need to keep continuing to make sure that we address these issues in our time. All right. Thanks again for joining us here on Radio Free New York. We'll be back with one final segment. We're going to do Fake News Friday because it's Friday.
Yay.
We got to do that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Fiorella, a family-owned farm-to-table Italian restaurant at the Rochester Public Market, is open for curbside contactless takeout Wednesday through Saturday. Lunch 11:30 to 2 and dinner 4 to 8. Fiorella offers wood-fired, old-world-style pizza with naturally leavened dough and house-made fresh pasta. Check out our Facebook and Instagram at Restaurant Fiorella for nightly specials. Thursday is gnocchi night. Call 434-5705. View the takeout menu on the web, restaurantfiorella.com.
Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. It's Fake News Friday. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Sean Phelan, the Agent Chaos.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, who's going to do fake news first? You got some
go
fake
for
news
it.
for us? All right. So I got a couple good ones. So this one, you ever heard of a restaurant chain called Jersey Mike's?
No.
So it's like a sub shop. So I'm gonna read off this statement, and you'll tell me if it's a real statement from the sub shop or not. We here at Jersey Mike's are always striving for greatness with our sandwiches, but also in our community. We have listened to the larger cultural conversations and have decided that effective tomorrow, July 1st, so it's a couple days ago, our famous BLT, bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, will now be known as BLM, Bacon, Lettuce, and Tomato Sandwich. Black Lives Matter. Is that real or is that fake?
I'm going to say it's real. And I'm not sure.
Yeah, it feels real.
Yeah. It just seems like some marketing ploy that somebody would try.
There's so many cringy marketing ploys going out there.
Yes.
There's a whole podcast of, it might have been like Planet Money or something, making fun of them. Well, not making fun. They're just talking about like what works and what doesn't. This one from Jersey Mike's subs, though, is not real, but it fooled a lot of people.
Yeah.
They had to put out their own statement being like, hey, we support Black Lives Matter, but we didn't do this. We didn't try to make the bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich to do that.
Did you see what I tweeted out yesterday?
No.
Somebody posted something about the Washington Redskins are going to have to drop their name, and to be politically correct. And I just suggested that they drop the Indian logo and just make it a potato and keep the name.
Redskins. Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't see it from you, but I did see someone say something similar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but hey, why not?
All right, I got my fake
All right.
news. You ready?
What do you got?
Okay, Florida man.
Oh, of course.
Did a Pensacola, Florida man drive to New York to steal thousands of ballots to try to change the outcome of the Democratic primary? And when he was caught, his only statement was MAGA 2020.
Huh. Yeah, you know what? I haven't heard of this. So I'm gonna let my ignorance guide me and say it's fake.
It's fake. I made it up.
Making up fake news.
But
You're
you see
fake
how you
news,
had to be
Sean.
tempted? You could be like, oh, a Florida guy could drive to New York and try some stunt like this.
I feel like, so my Facebook is very like conservative and libertarian, and my Twitter is very like clouded with progressives mostly. There's libertarians there too, but there's a lot of progressives. I feel like someone would have been raging about that on Twitter. I feel like I would have seen it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well,
the
Democrats would have claimed it, and the Republicans would have said it was fake news.
Yeah. So, but Sean, you were the fake news all along.
Yes, I was.
All right, so I got one. Are people holding COVID parties where everyone gathers together and they try to get each other sick to get over the virus first, and then hold betting pools on who gets sick first?
I was reading about this morning, and this is kind of a spin-off of this new phrase that I heard called moral fear. And yeah, it's not real only because it's only been reported by like one place, and apparently they were using footage of upstate New York, and it supposedly happened in Alabama.
Alabama, yeah. So you're calling it fake news.
I'm going to call
COVID
fake news
parties.
on that one, yeah, because I didn't see a second on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's one of those things that it started coming out of rumors out of Washington State, out of Alabama, and they're using, like, different things that they heard from New York, and it kind of morphed in together to, like, hey, there's fraternities holding these parties, and they're just, and it feels truthy because there was really things like chickenpox parties, right? Like, those are things people did. That's a thought people had. But right now, there's no evidence that actual COVID parties are happening. Now, there are parties where people just have, and they're just parties, and then a bunch of people get sick. That happens. But no one's like going and intentionally doing this to infect themselves. That
Plus,
we know of. That
the
there's any evidence
the timing of it's all wrong. There's no fraternities that are together right now because not only is college suspended, but even if it wasn't, it's July.
Yeah.
College would have ended 2 months ago.
There's a bunch of red flags here that say fake news, but I saw this is when I saw more of my progressive friends being like, "Oh, people are so dumb." I'm like, "No, guys, stop. That's not real. You look silly. Quit doing that."
Yeah, they just, like I said, when something happens, ask why. Why would that happen? Why would there be a COVID party at a fraternity, no less?
Yeah,
makes no sense.
It's logic. It feels like there's a little bit of truthiness to it, just because, again, chickenpox parties are a thing. So they made the logical leap. This was a thing, therefore this could be a thing.
I heard the chickenpox parties are no longer legal. I heard that's child abuse now.
That wouldn't surprise me. I have no idea if that's true or not, but it wouldn't
what I heard.
surprise me. It's not. There are better ways to protect yourself from chickenpox now, and it's not a fun thing. I actually got it, and my brother got it as a kid because it was before like the vaccine was a thing, and yeah, not a good time.
Yeah, my buddy, when he was an adult, he got the shingles. Oh, bad stuff.
Yeah, no.
Hope I don't get it.
All right, you got another fake news item for me, or?
Yeah, I got one here. All right. During the riots, did a Chicago man accidentally shoot himself in the you-know-where while robbing a hot dog stand?
While robbing a hot dog stand.
Yep.
I feel like there's too many elements of a joke there that feels fake. I'm gonna call fake news.
It's actually realish.
Realish, all right.
And
so
I say realish only because I added the riot part, so I threw the time off it. But Halloween of 2017, a 19-year-old man shot himself twice during a misfire and ran off with the money, an undisclosed amount of money. Apparently, the story goes that he tried to produce the gun out of his pants pocket, and the trigger got caught, and when he put it back in, the trigger slammed, and it shot himself. So then he tried to yank it out again real quick, and ended up losing it, and it dropped back in, and it went off a second time. So he actually shot himself twice.
Ladies and gentlemen,
gun safety people.
Safeties are important. Keep that safety on until you're ready to fire your gun.
Yes.
It's my goodness. That's how you shoot your stuff off.
And don't point it at something that you don't plan on shooting.
That's right. Including yourself. That's oh man, bad news. All right, I got a quick one before I go. Did the famous country band Dixie Chicks change their name to the Chicks? Real news or fake news?
I heard that's real news, but I'm more shocked that they still exist.
It's real news. They're the Chicks now. All right, thank you so much for joining us here on Radio Free New York. Happy Independence Day weekend, everyone. And please stay safe. Please don't drive drunk. Please don't blow your hands off with fireworks.
Yes,
Have
please.
a wonderful, safe weekend. Talk to you next week.